Hi, everybody. So, thanks so much for tuning in today. I'm delighted and honored to be joined by Gus and Brenda from Gus and Brenda's Wellness. Guys, thanks for coming on.
Thank you
Thanks
very
for
much.
having us.
Yeah.
No problem. It's great to have two people on the other side of the screen. It's usually one or a group of people. So, it's the first time for two, which is fabulous. So, guys, do you want to give a little bit of an overview to some of our listeners as bits of the work that you partake in and how people can link in with yourselves?
So we are holistic practitioners. We have a therapy business here in Ballinaur in Cork, and we work with adults, children, all ages. We're both yoga teachers, and we teach mindfulness, well-being, and nutrition classes as well. So we have a good overall scope of what we cover for people, because we think our whole lives are important. It's not just one aspect. So we like to deal
Amazing.
with everything.
Great, great. And from your side, guys, of I suppose involvement in daily practices and maybe from your work, Gus, what maybe advice or tips or suggestions will you give maybe to people now in this time of year where they're maybe a little bit stressed or overwhelmed in their day-to-day logistics? What maybe things could they do for themselves as well to help ease those stress levels?
Well, yeah, I suppose the big thing really is try and get time for themselves is number one anyway. So when they have time for themselves, just get out in the fresh air. The common, simple knowledge stuff is breathe and even go for a walk or do something that you like doing. And the big thing really is just practice being present, like because life is busy, especially this time of the year with families and all that kind of stuff. So when we have time out for ourselves, then we can re-energize and have a more impact on being able to deal with situations much better. So that'd be the big one. And the other thing I find is really good as well is very simplistic. Is called earthing. People just connecting with their hands on a tree or bare feet on the ground, on the grass. That's a huge one. It's really good because it gets rid of all the static out of your system and you're connecting with the earth and you're really energizing as well, which is fantastic. So you find, and as a result, you feel more positive and are re-energized. So basically, do things that you like doing when you have time to yourself and enjoy doing stuff for yourself.
Amazing. That sounds great, Gus, and really practical as well, like stuff that people can do on a
Yeah.
day-to-day basis and things they can just integrate into their daily life, which is fabulous. And Brenda, you were mentioning there from the yoga side, how important do you feel movement is to integrate into our life, and how important, I suppose, is yoga as well for managing those stress level practices?
Uh, I mean, you really said it there. Movement is so important. And we teach people yoga from all ages. We do primary schools all the way up to we people in their 80s. We've had a few people in their 90s doing yoga. Movement is very important. And what I always say to people is if you had a bicycle and left it outside, it would go a bit rusty after a while. So it's the same with the body. And in yoga, we concentrate on energizing the whole body. So we're moving all the different parts of it, especially the spine. If you think that you do a lot of exercise, which is great, obviously, whatever exercise you do is great. But we find, just say if you're doing something routinely, like walking, you're moving in the same direction all the time. You're not necessarily moving your spine much. And your spine is carrying your central nervous system. So that's a huge part of our body and of our lives, physically and mentally, emotionally as well. So with yoga, we're doing all different types of gentle movement. We teach yoga on the beach in the summer, so we're very lucky. And I've met a few people this year who said, "Oh, I've been thinking about coming for ages, but I felt I wasn't good enough." And there's no such thing as not being good enough for yoga. We're all in our own place, wherever we are. It's not a comparison with anyone else. And it's about yourself and helping your body to free out a bit more. Because yoga actually means union with life. So when we're connecting with that life force, our energy, instead of our stuck thoughts, then you're going to feel better. So the meditation part of yoga is very important as well. And Gus mentioned it there, I think, the deep breathing. That's a huge part of yoga as well, just connecting with our breath. Because often, and we all have challenges. If we have a challenge, we could be stuck in the challenge and not able to see the solution or what's our next step because we're stuck in a thought. So doing yoga, meditation, relaxation, it helps all of that really. So very important. And it doesn't take a lot, ourselves, we do a lot of yoga because of our classes, but if we weren't teaching a class, we might just do 5 or 10 minutes every morning. It doesn't take a huge commitment. And just something that we have done since the restrictions there a few years ago, we have a YouTube channel with some gentle moves on it. It's Gus and Brenda on YouTube. And people find that, even yesterday, one of my clients was saying she does it and she chooses one of the shorter moves. It's only 10 minutes so that she energizes herself that way.
Amazing, yeah, and I loved when you were doing, the online ones, and the YouTube channel is fabulous. So definitely people check that out. I suppose the fascinating part, and you mentioned that as well, Brenda, from the spine orientation, and I suppose Gus, maybe when people are sitting in chairs as we're all doing now, and as I'll be doing for most of the rest of the day, unfortunately, and in school or in workplace, what maybe simple things could they do maybe on a day-to-day, Gus, that might actually alleviate, and manage their posture a little bit more, considering how
Yeah.
important our spine health is?
I suppose the big thing there when is really is if they can get a couple of minutes, get up off the chair, walk around the place, shake your body, roll out the shoulders, work the neck, open the mouth really wide as well. I find that's a really good one. When you open your mouth really wide, it's like a big yawn. That gets rid of a lot of stress out of the head. Breathing again was really important. Some people actually use, believe it or not, they use mats on their bare feet. They're called earthing mats, right? You can get them online. And the mat is connected to a wire which is connected into the ground outside. So if that is possible while you're on the computer, you're actually earthing with your bare feet on the mat. That's a huge one now, because a lot of people don't realize when they're in front of a computer, especially, that all the static is coming at them as well, So that's a really good one. So the big one again is breathing as well. But if you can move, even for a couple of minutes, just move and just stretch. When you stretch, you can take big deep breaths, and that helps,
Amazing, yeah, and
And
I
yeah,
suppose it's something we'd recognize so much with students, just the hunched overness and the
that's
constant,
right.
almost
Yeah,
moving into the screen or getting closer and closer to the screen, which is becoming disadvantageous, I suppose, for bits of our posture, really, in a sense. So that aspect of
yeah.
yoga and movement will be so fundamental to people's overall well-being.
Yeah.
And the other thing as well I forgot to mention is some people use a certain type of chair that's good for your posture. So if that is possible, that's another avenue if they're in front of a computer a lot. So
Yeah, there's a growth with
Sitting.
all of the standing desks as well,
Yes.
guys.
Yeah.
That's becoming a very big thing to, do more work while you're standing up, and then everything is more at kind of eye level in a sense as well.
Or
yeah,
sitting on one of the big balls, the gym balls, because that automatically keeps your posture up as well. What's a very good move for people with neck and shoulder problems is just to bringing your arms out into a W.
Okay.
And imagine you're holding head up, keeping your head up nice and straight. And imagine you're holding an apple, you're squeezing an apple between your shoulder blades. So,
Oh,
your
yeah.
arms are in a W there. And even just to do that every now and again, it straight away, it straightens up your posture, and to
Yeah.
engage your core, pull in your tummy muscles, because straight away that improves the posture. And another one is lifting your ribs, because a lot of the time our ribs are down, whereas if we lift them up straight away, that's helping the whole spine as well.
Amazing. Yeah, no, that's a really good one. It's something for us to just monitor, really, I suppose, is the best way of doing it. Notice when you're not,
yeah,
as moving forward and try and rectify it, because unfortunately we can't all sit for the full day. And as you said, Brenna, which is a fabulous point, we all just need to be where we're at and try and move forward, instead of, being perfect at this and that, or sitting perfectly straight posture for 8 hours a day, which is just a little unrealistic as well.
Yeah, it's important to be realistic.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
a good thing is to set reminders, maybe even just put a dot on your keyboard somewhere, a
Yeah.
little sticky thing. And anytime you see that, you can think then, okay, let's straighten up, or get up, walk around and come back again. I know when our kids were young, and they'll laugh when I tell, if they heard this, I used to get them to run around the house. If the weather wasn't good enough or they weren't out doing sport, I'd say, right, okay, everyone out, run around the house 3 times. And even just to do something like that, even as an adult, one of the big things we see with working online as well, people jumping out of bed, turning on the screen, and they're straight. Try and get outside, pretend you're walking to your car, walk around the house, take a few deep breaths, do something. Don't just transition straight from bed into work.
I know that's so vital. Yeah, Brenda, there's so much studies on that now, isn't there, about that actual physical action of leaving the house, people actually getting into their cars, and how that kind of rewires your system for the day instead of just
Yeah.
moving down into a room and starting from there, which is interesting. But the running around the house thing is great. We do that when we still have students online country and in the UK. I get them to run up and down the stairs, or they run outside. There's hoping most of the time they come back, but you never know. But it's a fabulous one, it gets them kind of removing, and it's a great transition topic. You mentioned kind of watching those transitions. If you're moving from something to the next topic, taking those few minutes then when you something completed before you start something else can be really a good, like a sandwich type of a technique, which is we find useful anyway.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great,
Just another
guys.
thing as well, Una, I do reflexology, and reflexology is where we work on the feet. The feet are a map of the body, so it helps the whole body. But there's facial reflexology as well, which I show a lot of people. So even just one technique, if it's all right, if I show you now, I usually use the knuckle on my thumb and massaging in here, in between the eyebrows. Do a few circles, do about 10 circles there.
Does it
And
matter
that's
which
work.
way, Brenda? Should you do
I
clockwise?
I usually go clockwise, so
Okay.
from my left eye to my right eye in that direction. And that's working your neck. So if you have a sore neck, it's good to relieves the tension, and your shoulders, your eyebrows represent your shoulders.
Okay.
So, and one of my shoulders might be a bit tight, but sometimes it's just above the eyebrows. So by
Wow.
massaging there, I find it helps it, People find that absolutely brilliant. And you can just do it.
Amazing.
It's great even to wake up. And another one would be tapping. So that'd be another
Yes.
kind of a transition thing to do, and in between.
Yeah, I love the tapping. I think and obviously that's growing as a movement anyway, which is great. But I think that's a fabulous one. But it's so interesting. I didn't know your eyebrows are connected to your shoulders. That's really
There
cool.
you
That
go now.
symmetry side is interesting.
Yes, and it is. Right side is the right side of the body. There's a whole book on it, or people can look it up if they want to see it
Fabulous.
anyway, And very good, for little kids, maybe massage their feet if a parent. Most people will love to have their feet or their hands massaged. And it's a nice connection with your child, maybe even going to bed or something like that. Even teenagers love it. Even to now, our kids love having their feet massaged. And if you have a family member who's not very mobile for whatever reason, massage their feet or their hands. Just that whole touch is very important.
Great. Yeah, I think those trigger points and those different parts of the body can be really useful, and definitely know the practical tips and suggestions, which is fabulous. And guys, if people are interested in, doing yoga or bits of reflexology, how best should they link in with yourselves to set something up?
Our website is gusandbrenda.ie.
Fabulous. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining. It's been a pleasure having you all. Hopefully people will implement some of your wonderful tips and suggestions, and we look forward to seeing everybody soon.